And Screaming Eagles history all begins on this day, September 20th, 1997, the first game in Screaming Eagles history, and it was at Center 200, and it was the Rouyn-Noranda Huskies that were in town to play the Eagles. Martin Bartek would put himself in the history books, opening the scoring for the Huskies, the first ever Q goal at Center 200. At the 7:18 mark, there was the first fight in Screaming Eagles history, as the Cape Breton Screaming Eagles forward Tommy Gagnon dropping the gloves with Steve Vandal of the Huskies. And at 9:16, Randy Copley, a Cape Breton native, would score the first goal in franchise history from Chad Ryan and Yannick Carpentier. It was one of two goals that Copley would record on the night. Ryan Walsh with a two-goal effort as well for the Eagles. It would be Josh Dill that would play the hero as a Hollywood-esque ending to the Eagles' first game in Sydney. With 72 seconds left in regulation, Dill's game winner gives the Eagles a 5-4 victory. Mike Ribeiro, future NHL star, 2 goals in the loss. For the Huskies, Danny Lavoie, the winning goaltender for Cape Breton on the historic night. Move ahead 1 year to 1998, not near the history, but the same two teams going at it, this time in Rouyn-Noranda, and it was a 2-2 game this time. Eagles out shooting the Huskies 45-24. Danny Lavoie in nets for Cape Breton. He would actually be traded to Rouyn-Noranda later in the season. The Eagles fell behind 2-0 in this game. Travis Zachary with a pair of goals to even it up. This one ended with a wild flurry of action as there was a brawl at the end of the contest. All 10 skaters on the ice receiving game misconducts, including a future Scream Eagle, Chris Linus, and star Mike Ribeiro, still with the Huskies at this time. On the Eagles' end, Josh Dill and Sebastian Gagnon among those mixing it up. In the year 2000, the Scream Eagles were in Shawinigan where they were dealt a 4-3 loss. Radim Verbata leading the way with 2 points for the Cataracts, and he was the first star of this game, as Shawinigan scoring twice in the third period to pull out the victory. For Cape Breton, it was Kevin Kluche, Olivier Prue, and Dustin Russell, all with 2-point nights. In the year 2002, the Scream Eagles fell 3-2 to the Moncton Wildcats. It was Corey Crawford picking up the victory, playing well for the Wildcats. Martin Houle actually got the start for Cape Breton, but he was pulled after allowing 3 goals in the first period. Steve Villeneuve with 2 points for the Eagles in the loss. In 2005, it was another 3-2 loss for Cape Breton, this time in Rimouski, as the Oceaniques scoring twice in the third period to pull out the victory. Dean Ouellette and Kevin Asselin each with 2 points in the loss for Cape Breton. In 2008, the Scream Eagles were victorious 4-2 in Halifax as Mario DeRoche won his 200th game as a QMJHL head coach. Chris Culligan led the way with 2 goals. This was actually the first visit to the Metro Center for the Scream Eagles after having been eliminated by the Mooseheads in the 2008 playoffs. In 2009, the Scream Eagles were in Moncton for what would be a barn burner as the Wildcats would win 5-4 in a shootout. The Wildcats would go on to win the President's Cup that season. Former Scream Eagle Scott Branham with 2 points for the Wildcats. The shootout went to 11 rounds, and it was Daniel Pedersen that would score the goal for the Wildcats. There were no goals scored up until that point in the shootout, and it was the first goal Olivier Waugh had allowed in a shootout after making 24 straight saves. Waugh was also great during the actual game as well, as he made 52 saves in this contest. Corey McIntosh playing well for Cape Breton on this night as he had his first goal as a Scream Eagle. The North Sydney native would play 3 seasons with his hometown club. 3-point night for Taylor McDougall as well, and a big night for Nick McNeil, who would tie the game in the dying minutes to get the Eagles a point, but ultimately it is Moncton that gets the victory. In 2013, the Scream Eagles hosted the Charlottetown Islanders for the first time at Center 200 as the Islanders had been rebranded in the offseason after being the PEI Rocket previously. The Islanders would win their first appearance at the Nest by a score of 5-4. Jack Nevins with 3 points for the Islanders. He would actually pester the Eagles all season long, even after he'd been traded to Rouyn-Noranda. Cameron Darcy playing well, getting his first goal as an Eagle. He scored twice, in fact, and added an assist as well. Francis Brunel of Cape Breton with his first fight as a Scream Eagle against former Eagle Zach Beaton. Again, the Islanders win this game 5-4. The Eagles would get revenge of sorts 1 year later as the Islanders were at Center 200 again, and this time Cape Breton won 7-1 after having lost to the Islanders the prior night. Dylan Boucher scoring his first Q career goal on a bittersweet night for him as he was injured on the play after scoring the goal, and he'd miss action up until November, but he did get his first Q goal on this night. Kyle Farrell leading the way with 2 goals and an assist. Charles-Éric Lagaré, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and Julien Pelche all with 2 assists. Loic Lavier and Evgeny Svechnikov each with a goal and an assist. Miguel Sullivan playing well in nets, making 36 saves for the win. Scream Eagles Mason Gray dropping the gloves in this game against Malik Johnson. In 2015, for the third straight year, the Charlottetown Islanders paid a visit to Center 200, and they would pick up a 4-3 victory in overtime. Oliver Cooper and Philip Rydstrom leading the way with a goal and an assist. Cooper would score the overtime winner in what was the first ever 3-on-3 overtime game played at Center 200 in the regular season. Declan Smith made sure overtime would happen by scoring his first QMJHL goal with 52 seconds left in the game. Pierre-Luc Dubois with a strong effort on this night with a goal and 2 assists. Ty Fournier with 2 assists as well for the Eagles. Playing well in the Charlottetown goal was Matthew Welsh, stopping 33 of 36 shots. And that is this day in Screaming Eagles history.